everyone to this edition of From the Vaults. This week we're rewinding time all the way back to 2001 and the creation of Shoot Your Mouth Off.
Looking forward to see this.
You all know Symo in its current incarnation as a lovable bunch of actors, singers and performers.
Hey, that's me.
I'm me.
Dedicated to brightening your life with funny films and songs.
My film, Pretty Lady, was the perfect man.
But back in the day, it was a very different story. Before we grew a sense of humour, we took ourselves extremely seriously.
That was more like.
So forgive the waffle and take a look at the birth of Shoot Your Mouth Off.
Shoot Your Mouth Off was an opportunity for disabled residents of Cleveland to learn how to write and produce a dramatic video over a period of 15 weeks. The only constraints placed on the group were to work within a very tight budget and focus their subject matter on autobiographical experiences of social exclusion and prejudice. The group consisted of 13 very different people, united only by their common experience of disability and the desire to become more involved in a video production which would act as a medium for the expression of their collective concerns. 13 strangers with wildly disagreeing views on the politics of disability, who would, over the course of the project, have to learn first of all how to run a video production, and then how to synthesize their myriad opinions and ideas into a coherent narrative.
Articulates a programme of arts activities inspired by, involving and relating to disabled people. Shoot Your Mouth Off gives the disabled people in the area a direct platform to express their feelings about social exclusion and prejudice.
Don't you know what I mean?
Yeah. But that's always got to be the case with any disability art that you do. It's got to be at least as good as anything else. So it can be accused of being tokenistic. Of the people who, the filmmakers who put in proposals for the video project, Carper Films appear to be the more experienced in making low-budget, issue-based drama. Also, I had a previously successful working relationship with them. I made a feature film last year. They appeared to be the more accessible and approachable outfit that would take into account the limitations and talents of the project participants.
The first thing that we had to do was split the group of 13 people into two groups, because on such a small scale production there just aren't enough jobs to keep everyone interested and involved.
The separate groups were then given exercises to introduce them to video and video production techniques. These took the form of short sketches pre-written by us and designed to be planned, rehearsed and shot in a day. We deliberately imposed a tight schedule on the groups to introduce them to the pressure that time and budgetary constraints impose on a production.
Okay there, Jerry, I'll see you at the 18th hole, yeah? Drinks are on you? Yeah, love to Phoebe and the kids. Okay, gotta go, bye.
Ah, you must be Edna.
Pleased to meet you.
Welcome to the office. We pride ourselves on having an enlightened attitude towards discrimination in all of its forms. We've had blacks working here, we've had women working here. I mean, hell, last week we even had a spastic. I'm not sure exactly what John here can do to fit in, but I'm sure it's good for him getting around the house and that, yeah? First though, a brew. I'm parched. Fancy a cup, Edna?
Now, do you fancy a brew?
Oh, yes, that would be lovely.
How about a cuppa?
Yeah, thanks.
Does she take sugar?
Why don't you ask me?
Sorry, dear. I didn't know she could talk. Some of them can't, you know.
Them? What do you mean?
Well, you know.
No, I don't know.
Well, people like you.
People in wheelchairs can't talk, but I can, and I can do this as well. Oh! Chicken sticker job. Come on, we're going. Oh!
True.
Both groups successfully completed the exercises and were subsequently encouraged to criticise the edited programmes.
What we were looking for here wasn't a slick piece of comedy drama. It was more that we wanted to expose the group to the difficulties of trying to successfully realise a script so they could see firsthand what could go wrong and consequently why on a video production everything is in the planning.
Learning how to make a video is only half of the project, a way of giving the groups the necessary tools to express themselves.
You're going to have to come up with a script, which we'll talk about a bit later on. But then you have to talk about ways to make that script. So you have to start thinking as a group about all the things that you need to make this film.
That's not quite what it means, though. I mean, it's part of what society, a disabling society, means. But it's also the way that, like, physically it's structured, like having steps where you can't get into places, and inaccessible buses, and schools. That like people who are intelligent but use wheelchairs, like Karen and Anthony. Can't go to mainstream schools normally because they're not accessible. So even though they're perfectly capable of having a mainstream education, they can't. So they grow up to become segregated. And that's what I mean when I say that society is disabling. As well as we've discussed at length this morning, that people do believe that disabled people are somehow different. Like, it's not a hierarchy of disability, it's like everybody has their own impairments and everyone has their own strengths.
Sure. We create this a them in us scenario, and I think the them is a really difficult thing to actually nail down, unless you start focusing on something like Karen said, like on steps where there should be a ramp, or like why the buses aren't accessible, like why the trains aren't accessible, why you can't get in with like a pub, why you can't get into a cinema, or why you can't get in a football ground.
We used a sieving technique to narrow our focus, starting with themes and asking each group and each group member what general themes their experiences fell under.
Although I'm physically disabled, I've been all my life, not psychologically or emotionally or mentally, but people try to disable me psychologically and mentally and emotionally because I'm disabled physically. And even though I was born with disability, I've always found it difficult to make friends. Because people are afraid to make friends with you because they think it'll put too much pressure on them. They can't just pick you up for a date, they've got to throw a wheelchair in a boot. And,
When we got to the lift at Greenwich to take us down onto the Jubilee line, the lift had broken. And there was no other means of getting people like me down onto the line.
But because I am totally blind, I'm at an insurance risk. I'm not allowed to.
To have real friends, and I'm a very sociable person.
Out of a core of friends that I had, I only see 2 people that I knew before I was disabled.
I'm not allowed to.
Unless I've got a carer with me. You understand what I mean? But they wouldn't let them because I was a fire hazard. No, I don't get it. I don't set off in flames as soon as you come in.
This is a group of people with an axe to grind, people whose lives have been restricted by negative attitudes and bad practice. Shoot Your Mouth Off is exciting because it gives people a chance to contribute, although in a small way, to a genuine protest movement.
We wrote all of the possible themes on a flip chart and discussed with the group which ones best fitted the Articulate framework, which could be a financially viable theme for a short drama made on a small budget and which touched their common experience most deeply. The common denominators from each group were access, bad attitudes and particularly transport. We then zoomed into the selected theme and came up with a list of different ways to treat it. We sieved the alternatives once more to focus again on shared common experience and financial viability, and from these sessions the germ of the final film was born.
And everybody got up and I was still on the pavement, waiting.
The next stage was to develop the scripts.
Taxi driver. Well, we're not allowed to get out of our cabs. But I'm visually impaired, Jim. You can get out now, and couldn't you lock your door?
Again, these anecdotes were sifted for their viability until each group had enough focused and affordable material to build their film. Over a period of 2 months, ideas were honed into working scripts.
Once we developed each group's project to the stage where they had a workable script, we had to set about getting the production off the ground. This meant that each member of each group had to take on a different role, such as like production, directing, acting, writing, whatever.
No noticing. That's bloody usual, isn't it? Thank you. Very kind of you, that.
That's no problem.
The films had to be rehearsed, cast, located, budgeted. Contingency plans had to be drawn up, favours asked, talent confirmed, tape bought, dates nailed, transport arranged. 12 weeks into shooting Mouth Off, we went into the first production.
After 3 months of planning, Bulldozer and Travelling took just 2 weeks to shoot. With considerable help from organisations such as Disability North and Scope on Teesside, both productions ran very smoothly.
Roll cameras. 3, 2, 1, action!
For a first effort, both groups performed remarkably well and in the end came up with films that, though were similar in thematic content, differ extraordinarily in their treatment.
The people involved with both groups fulfilled a difficult brief, you know, in the time and the budget that they were given to do it, and they stuck close to the spirit of Articulate, producing work that, though, and it could be said that it's admittedly rough, it's at the same time entertaining and pointed.
It wouldn't be an exaggeration of the abilities and skills of Carter Films to say that, given the diverse and extremely vocal nature of the groups, that everybody got the opportunity to express their story, and it was interwoven quite skillfully and, well, not entirely seamlessly, but into two coherent narratives that express the Articulate philosophy extremely well.